Boys and girls, today I'm going to talk about American money. In this movie, you'll see pictures of coins and bills, and I'll try to give you tips and tricks that will help you to identify and count these different types of money. We'll start with pennies and $1 bills. For both, you're going to skip count by ones. A penny is brown and it has President Abraham Lincoln on the front. The backs may have different images, so I've listed a couple to show you. They are worth 1 cent each. On the dollar bill, you'll see President George Washington and the numbers 1 in each of the 4 corners. They are worth $1 each. When counting pennies, you would count this way: 1 cent, 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents. Notice the cent symbol follows the value. When counting $1 bills, you would count them this way: $1, $2. Notice that the dollar sign goes in front of the value. Speaking of $1, here are some $1 coins. We still skip count by ones, but these are no longer in bill form, they are a coin. On the left, you'll see the Susan B. Anthony coin. Next, the Sacagawea dollar coin, and then the Lady Liberty coins. Simply counting them by ones using a dollar sign in front of each value. Someday you might come across a $2 bill. These are very rare, and if you can, you might want to collect and save them. On the front is President Thomas Jefferson. When they first made the $2 bill, it used to have Founding Father Alexander Hamilton on the front. When you count $2 bills, you count by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8. Who do we appreciate? And as you can see, the dollar sign goes in front. Next, we'll talk about nickels and $5 bills. Nickels are silver. They have a smooth edge around the side, and on the front is President Thomas Jefferson. The $5 bill has President Abraham Lincoln. When counting nickels and $5 bills, we count by fives, either using a cent symbol or a dollar sign to show their values. Next, we'll talk about dimes. Dimes are little silver coins with ridges along the edges. On the front is President Franklin D. Roosevelt. You would simply count them by tens since each is worth 10 cents. On the $10 bill is a picture of Founding Father Alexander Hamilton. He wasn't the only person to be on a $10 bill. Originally, there was President Andrew Jackson on the front, and they are worth $10 each, so you would count them $10, $20, $30, $40, and so on. Next is a $20 bill, one of my favorites. On the face of the $20 bill is President Andrew Jackson, who replaced President Grover Cleveland. As you've noticed, sometimes they change the people that are put onto the front of the bills. Counting by 20s is something we haven't really practiced before. When you skip count by 20s, it sounds like this: 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 140. You get the idea. Do you notice that if you look in the tens position, you'll see in $20, there's 2 tens. In $40, there are 4 tens. In $60, there are 6 tens. So when you count by 20s, think of it this way. You can count by twos and have a 0 in the ones position. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 really means 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. Give that a minute to sink in, maybe even pause this video to practice counting by 20s. Here's another coin you're going to come across. It's called the quarter. On the front is President George Washington. On the back, you might see different images, maybe the American eagle or the state quarters from any of the 50 states in our country. They are worth 25 cents, and you can see below the skip count pattern when you count by 25s. On the top, I've used my cent sign, 25 cents, 50 cents, 75 cents, 100 cents, 125 cents. You might see a pattern already. Now look underneath of that, I've written it with dollar signs. 25 cents means $0.25. 50 cents can be written as $0.50. You might want to pause this video and read all of the values to yourself to become familiar with the way that we write them. These are called half dollars. On the half dollar is President JFK, or President Kennedy. He was assassinated long before you were born, even before I was born. Each of them is worth a half dollar, or 50 cents. And so to count lots of these, you would skip count by 50s. You can see below, I've shown you the pattern using the cent symbol, as well as the pattern using the dollar sign. You might want to pause and practice skip counting by 50s. Speaking of 50s, these are $50 bills. On the $50 bill is President Ulysses S. Grant. And when you count those, you count them by 50s. I hope someday you have a lot of them and you can practice skip counting all the way up to the hundreds. Here's a $100 bill. On the $100 bill is Founding Father Benjamin Franklin. I've listed or shown an old and new version to show you the difference. I hope that you'll discover one of each when you come across money in your future. When we count by 100s, we simply say 100, 200, 300, 400, and so on. When you get past 800, 900, the next would be 1000. Or as you know, we could say 1,000. You can get to $1,000 in a very short amount of time if you have a stack of $100 bills. And I hope one day you might have a stack of $100 bills. Here are some other types of bills that maybe you didn't even know existed, probably because they don't make them any longer. This is a $500 bill. On it is President William McKinley. He wasn't the only president to be on the $500 bill. Actually, before he was on the bill, Chief Justice John Marshall had his face on the $500 bill. They later put President William McKinley on the front after he was assassinated. How do you think you would count $500 bills? What if you had 2? What if you had 3? What if you had 4? Pause this video and see if you can figure out the pattern. Here is a $1,000 bill, and on it is President Grover Cleveland. When they first made the $1,000 bill, they had Founding Father Alexander Hamilton on the front, and later changed it to President Grover Cleveland. If you had 1, you would have $1,000. What if you had 5? How much money would you have then? Pause the video and see if you can skip count by 1,000s. Here is a $5,000 bill, and on it is President James Madison. Again, they don't circulate these bills any longer. They don't make these bills any longer. But if you were so fortunate to come across a $5,000 bill, it would look like this. This is a $10,000 bill. On it is a Treasury Secretary named Salmon P. Chase. And again, they don't make these bills any longer, but if you came across one like this, it would be well worth more than $10,000 because it would be an antique and a collectible. How do you think you would count them if you had a bunch of $10,000 bills? Pause this video and skip count by 10,000s. Finally, this is an awesome bill. Well, actually, it's called a gold certificate. These are not circulated. You're not going to come across this type of bill in Acme or IGA or Walmart. On it is President Woodrow Wilson. This bill is worth $100,000. So if you had two of them, you would have $200,000. And if you had three, well, I think you can figure that out. Pause this video and practice skip counting by $100,000. I hope that you've enjoyed this video and it's given you some ideas about counting money, identifying money. Maybe it's given you an interest in researching different presidents or founding fathers, or maybe collecting coins and collecting money. The only way to get really good at counting and identifying money is by practicing. So this next week or two, that's what I'd like you to do. Practice identifying and counting money and have fun with it. Take care now.